We are talking The Obsidian Curse, a 2016 movie by director Rene Perez, and this one stars Karin, Brauns, who is a Swedish actress who has been in a lot of Rene Perez movies. Let's talk about Rene Perez, actually one of my favourite B-movie directors, but he produces a lot of trash. I sometimes enjoy these trash movies on a kind of guilty pleasure level, but some movies he makes seem utterly pointless. What is this one? Well, let's talk about the plot, so to speak, if you will, and what's this movie about? So it focuses on this woman who is released from prison after some serious drug charges, and she has got a young daughter. And she finds out that her partner has actually married someone else, and this woman is now kind of looking after her daughter. And she can't see her daughter because she's now a kind of an ex-convict, so to speak. So she has to get a job. So she ends up getting a job in this kind of mines or something, or cave as a tour guide. However, that's just a ruse because there's a witch down there that gives her a curse, this kind of sign that essentially attracts anything evil to her. And then she is attacked by a variety of evildoers, including zombies, demons, serial killers, and a weird, medieval orc-like character. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie to find out. So, as I've said, I kind of like Rene Perez movies, even though I find them incredibly cheesy. And this has all the hallmarks of a Rene Perez movie. I actually think what works, first of all, if we could go into this, I do think Rene Perez has an eye for cinematography. I actually think he can shoot films quite well. And, he gets, all his films have this kind of weird sort of sun-bleached effect to them that kind of, I guess, is his signature look. And this is no exception. Lots of kind of lens flares and things like that. So, but it kind of is, that's his style, I suppose. And I feel it does have somewhat of a signature to it. And that's true of this movie. But I will say, I do think, Rene Perez is pretty good behind the camera. I think he gets some excellent shots, and we do see lots of different kind of shot compositions, tracking shots, wide shots, things like this. So I think he actually can handle a camera pretty well, and the movie is well photographed. Bear in mind, this is a very low budget movie. The second thing I would say is, I have seen some critiques about this, but I do think that there is some quite fun prosthetic effects in this movie. Even though it doesn't really make a lot of sense, and we're going to come on to that, but we have such a variety in different kind of creatures. I do feel it's let's see what kind of prosthetic effects you've kind of got lying around, and we'll bung them all into one movie. But like I've said, we've got some pretty horrific, almost Hellraiser kind of looking demons. We've got some zombies, which are all kind of gooey and stuff like that, and then we have this orc guy who looks like straight out of a kind of a Lord of the Rings fantasy movie, except he's blue. So there's some interesting practical effects here. There is some kind of gore and stuff as well. So it's just there is a reasonable amount if you kind of fun kind of practical effects. And with all Rene Perez movies, the movie is filled with a bevy of screen queen beauties. And it's kind of it has this weird irreverent feel where you don't really know what's kind of going on, but you just kind of watch it for the kind of the pure B-movie schlockiness. But let's get real. This is one of those films where I feel like it doesn't make any sense because it seems like a load of scenes slapped together with the barest of plots. So we have obviously our main actress, Karin Brauns, who plays Blair Jensen, and she is this ex-con, and she's not the best of actresses, let's be honest with you. She is Swedish, so obviously English is not her native tongue, so to speak. So, the performance is a little bit kind of early Dolph Lundgren, let's just kind of put it like that. So she's kind of struggling with some of the dramatic aspects. I'm trying to be as calm as I can here, but to be fair, the acting isn't particularly good. With anyone in this movie, to be quite honest with you. Richard Tyson shows up. He's about the most recognisable names, and he's been in a lot of Rene Perez movies with the Playing with Dolls series. The plot doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, she's given this curse, and I understand what this curse does, that it attracts evil. That's fair enough. But we don't know why she's given this curse. I mean, she just seems to be randomly given this curse for no real reason, other than the fact that the plot wants it to happen. There doesn't seem to be any kind of like motivation from the kind of the witch that gave it to her, other than she just wants to, you know, mess her life up or whatever. And then we have all these kind of like random different things, like random monsters that pop up, and they're so like different. Obviously we have this like grotesque kind of like demons that are under the bed. We have zombies, and we have like an orc. I mean, it's just such a bizarre kind of like mishmash of different sort of styles of monsters and things like that. It's kind of fun, but it doesn't make any sense. And the other thing, this is going to be a bit of a spoiler, so I apologise now. The movie's building up as this orc guy, as this kind of the big bad, so to speak, because we kind of see him throughout the movie in his kind of lair. But even there, you're not quite sure what's going on, because he's kind of got this like medieval castle and stuff, and he's wearing all this kind of like, you know, armour. But then he has like this girl who's walking around in jean shorts and fishnets and things. It's like, where is this meant to be happening? And you know, we kind of see him from time to time, but he is taken down so easily and actually represents zero threat. He doesn't do anything to this woman, apart from saying how, you know, how he's going to like feast on her, and like bam, he is literally taken down like a bitch. I'm thinking, what? You've built up him, he's on the cover, you built up through this movie that he's going to be like this big bad, and he is literally taken down like a complete punk. It's so funny. I guess it's a little bit original, but there you go. Now, I have talked about, I kind of quite like some of the prosthetics. I think the problem here is that with the prosthetics is, it's a low budget film, I can forgive this, but when you have like rubber masks, you have to do what you can to try and hide the fact that they're rubber masks. And some of these shots with Rene Perez's kind of insistence on shooting in bright light, you can kind of just see that they're rubber, and especially with the zombies, I would say, and this kind of witch. It just doesn't really look particularly, you know, realistic, shall we say. I can kind of forgive it, because I kind of quite like B movies, so I'm a little more forgiving with kind of effects. But again, I feel maybe general audiences may be kind of put off by this. The movie seems to kind of spend a lot of time like spinning its wheels as well, with seemingly kind of like sequences that don't really have any real bearing on the actual plot, because there's very little plot here, to be honest, so it feels like there's a lot of padding. But the weird thing is, I think this movie could have had you know, an interesting plot. The idea of this girl getting a curse which attracts evil to her, and we have all these different types of evils, could have been explored. But it's just like just monsters just turn up out of nowhere, and we don't really know where they've come from, or their kind of story, and we don't really know why this kind of she was cursed in the first place. So I think aspects of the story which could have been interesting are just kind of like, nah, we just want to have it in favour of kind of like scenes with monsters attacking girls, or a serial killer attacking a girl, and things like this. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the movie, like the Waxworks movie from the 80s, where that had like lots of kind of like different kind of little vignettes with different kind of creatures. But that had the conceit of it was in a waxwork museum, or it had different kind of like, you know, worlds, so to speak, that they would go into. This doesn't have that. They just randomly turn up. So it's kind of a little bit of an odd film, if I'm completely honest, because it just feels like so slapped together. And this is the problem, I think, with some Rene Perez movies. And I do enjoy a lot of his films, I'm honest with you. I think he has quite a lot of style, but they're so lacking in substance sometimes. You know, I can't honestly say this is a good film. And I've got to be honest with you, this is one of the weaker Rene Perez movies. But I still do have a little bit of fun with it. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I shall look forward to you next time. Bye for now.